Welcome back to WEDO Pay It Forward. Today you'll hear from Corinne Lyall, WEDO Pay benchmark, and how she leads with authenticity. Welcome. I'm Milena Radakovic, and this is WEDO Pay It Forward. Thanks so much for joining, Corinne. I'm so excited to hear about your story and how you lead with authenticity. You have done such amazing things with your brokerage. And I love the story of how you partnered with your mother, and it was a mother-daughter duo. And now how you have taken the team and grown it like 400%. You've got over 200 agents under you. So what were some of the struggles that you have gotten to go through to get this happen?
Oh, that's a loaded question.
I know it's a loaded question.
In terms of struggles, well, I can talk about when my mom and I first partnered. So her name is Jan, and my mom Jan was licensed in 1978. I partnered with her in 2007. So I was licensed in 1997. So I was about 10 years into the business, and she kept kind of, saying, I'd like you to be managing. And then eventually it really became about me taking over from her.
Right.
When we partnered in 2007, if anybody remembers the market at that time in Calgary, things were exploding. And so when we made that agreement, we made it at an EBITDA that was quite high based on what the former years had brought forward.
Right.
And then 2008 happened.
Oh.
And June of 2008, everything crashed.
That's right.
Right. And at the same time, we had a competitor in the market who was aggressively coming after our agents. And at the time we had 58 agents, and 8 of them walked out the door and went to this competitor. And so Jan and I got together and we said, well, okay, we need to stop this. What are we going to do? So we hired a company to help us do a new strategy and different compensation plans. And then we introduced that to our agents. And, that was great because at that time, the ones that stayed after that, and they really rallied behind us. But it also lowered our profitability based on the new compensation plans. So guess what happened then is that Corinne had to then get out and start getting a little bit more assertive with recruiting. Mm-hmm. At the same time, so that was 2008. About 2010, I had a broker from another company approach me and start talking about potentially us merging or me taking over that company. And it didn't happen, which was fine, but it got a little bug in my ear. It's something that I needed to do. And then what happened is another broker friend of mine said, have you heard about so-and-so, this guy, Dave Burns, who was an agent or a broker who owned a company maybe a couple blocks from us. So there was also a WEDO Pay office. And have you heard that maybe he'd want to retire? And I thought, okay, well, I've got to make this phone call, right? So I very nervously picked up the phone and phoned him and said, Dave, would you like to talk? I heard maybe that you'd like to consider selling your company. And so after that, we met, probably about 4 or 5 times at the keg, drinking a bottle of red wine and got our merger document put together on one piece of paper. Took it to a lawyer and put it together. And it was only because I'd heard of some ways that you could, potentially do this. I had no idea what I was doing, but it all came together, and that was my first acquisition. And then after that, the gentleman that had approached me a few years before that came back. Unfortunately, he'd taken a bit of time. So unfortunately, his company had reduced in numbers of agents and profitability, but still it was a good deal for us. And from there on, we've done now over the time about 6 acquisitions. Wow. And our latest one is a brokerage in Fort McMurray.
So how many locations has Benchmark grown to?
Well, we have 2 in Calgary, so one in the south, one in the north. We have a team office 2 downtown. And as well, we have an office in Strathmore. We took over 2 offices in Cochrane, merged them into one. And we're opening an office in Airdrie hopefully in the next month. And then we just acquired a brokerage in Fort McMurray. So
fantastic. So in our audience, we have a variety of different entrepreneurs who are either looking at a startup phase or in a growth stage. So this is perfect for the growth. And you have now, you said, you have extensive experience in mergers and acquisitions. What are some key tips or takeaways that if somebody's looking to merge or acquire another company that you could share with our audience?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I mean, there's many things, but I think is number one, and I mean, you see this with big company corporate acquisitions, is how do you engage the owner to hopefully, or manager, to stay around, right? Because I think that the success of a merger is really having some continuity. Right? So, people get scared. Like there's nervousness when you bring people into an organization that they don't know about.
Right.
And they don't understand your culture potentially. So how are you going to keep maybe your key players, right? And that might be a manager and owner. Maybe you don't want them to stick around too long, but at least a year or two in order to make the rest of the people feel comfortable about that decision. And also too is looking at culture matches, right? That's not always easy. And I mean, we've had ones that have matched really well and ones where we had to work really hard at it. And not that it doesn't turn out, but you just find that it's a lot more difficult. The struggles are more difficult when the cultures don't match. Right?
So I have known you for a few years, and I love the fact that culture is very big. And you do a lot of great things for your team to build on that culture. Can you share some of the activities that you do with your team that others might want to do similar?
Okay, so I mean, if I'm thinking of our 12-month calendar, in January, we always do a kickoff event. So that would be where we bring in all of our agents from all of our offices, typically into Calgary, just because it makes sense. And then we'll have a speaker and serve them food. Realtors like to be fed too. So, have food. We call it like food, fun, and recognition is usually what, is a really great way to be able to think about every event that you have. Are you paying attention to the people that are coming through? Are you providing them something that they're going to get excited about? And so typically our kickoff is a kickoff to the spring market, right? Because the spring market in real estate typically starts, at least in Calgary, March to about June, right? And so we always bring in somebody that will motivate them to get out there and work with some clients and plan their year. So that's in January. February, we have an awards day. And so again, food, fun, recognition, and make sure that we really recognize the people that had a fabulous year the year before. And so that's with success and everything else. And then actually this year we're doing something a little bit different. We do some client appreciation. So this one we have coming up in a couple of weeks is called Brews and Blossoms. And we're taking our clients, so all the realtors clients, they get invites and they're going out to a garden center and you get to go and shop around and pick out your seedlings for your spring, right? In a really fun way. And the reason why it's called Brews is obviously we're gonna have some adult beverages so they can enjoy that while they're going out. So that's a really fun kind of team thing that we do. Oh geez, we do a stampede event. We're doing a golf tournament this year to raise money for the Shelter Foundation that we support. And so Royal LePage Canada has an arm of their company called the Royal LePage Shelter Foundation. And it's unique in that it's one of the only corporations that actually have 100% of everything that's donated go back to the local shelters that we as brokers support. And so the Royal LePage Canada pays the salaries of the administrative people with Royal LePage Shelter Foundation. So you know that every dollar that somebody donates to us will go back to those shelters.
I love that. That's fantastic.
It's really cool. So this year is our first ever golf tournament, and we're doing it with another brokerage called Royal LePage Solutions in Calgary. And so we're going to have competitive.
Competition. I love that. That's great. And it gets all of your team excited as well. I love that. That's fantastic.
And then we do a September kickoff. Same thing. There's a new market in September. So we do a September kickoff. We do another client appreciation in November. And then also too is we do a business planning event. So we do either an event where we bring in all of our agents, or last year we tried something a little bit different. We did it in teams. So had teams depending on the longevity you are in the business. And then my business partner, Chris, spends time with them. And then of course we have a Christmas party. So there's a little sprinkling of the things that we do. So.
Fantastic. What would you say is next for you as a business leader, as well as for your company?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's hard. I mean, right now, as you know, Milena, I'm president of EO Calgary. Yeah. For those that don't know, it's the entrepreneurs organization. And that's been really fun. And so that's going to end here pretty quick in June. And as well, I happen to be director of a technology company called Pillar 9. It's a real estate industry technology company.
Oh, wow.
And I was president of that organization, and then somehow they twisted my arm to stay on as a director.
Of course.
So right now, those are my two things that I'm doing. I don't know if and when I'll do something next. Maybe I should take a break. My partner would like me to take a break. So. But I'm kind of addicted to getting involved in things, go-goer. Right? Yeah. I love leadership, and I love being involved in organizations that make a difference. And one time I was president of the Cal Real Estate Board too, and my whole theme was around building connections, and I've tried to bring that into most of the leadership opportunities that I have. And in fact, with EO Calgary, we called it Reconnection after COVID. But, I think that if you have the opportunity ever to be, and be in leadership position where you can just turn that dial a little bit. I'm not going to change the world here, but if I can turn that dial a little bit, make people think differently about connections and relationships and how you can do things a little bit different. Those are my goals, really.
I love that. And that's one of the reasons why I love the WEDO Pay It Forward podcast, is that we have an opportunity to hear from these amazing women leaders in a variety of different industries and see how they're making a difference in their community, and as well as getting new connections with each other. Because when we get all of these amazing women together, it's such sparks fly. Every single episodes that we have done, there's been connections that have been made, real relations have been built, and I love that. Corinne, from the bottom of my heart, I'm so fortunate to have you here. Thank you so much. How can our audience, if they're looking to reach out to Royal LePage Benchmark, how can they get a hold of you or somebody from your team?
Oh, okay. Yeah, great question. You can call our office. That's easy, 403-253-1901. We've had that number for a long time. You can email me directly, and my email address is C, as in my first name, Corinne, Lyall, Lyall, @royallepage.ca.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time. And audience, stay tuned to hear more. Bye for now.
Thanks, Milena.
Thanks for being here. Thank you to our sponsor, Deanna Workland of Energetics Canada, for paying it forward and allowing women leaders and entrepreneurs to be heard. If you are inspired and want to join the We Do community, then go on WeDoCanada.com and also nominate and sponsor the next inspirational woman.